All right, guys, Darren from FBA Elite, and welcome back to another video. So I've just placed an order for my next product. I've actually got it with me here, and if I do that, I think you guys can probably hear it. I'm going to show you what's in my hand later on in the video, so make sure you stick around for that. But there is a really important lesson to learn from the stock that I've ordered. Why have I ordered 2,100 units? So I'm going to show you a history of one of my previous products and then give you guys some guidance for helping you with ordering inventory when you come to launch your first or your next product. So what I've got here is a screenshot of the keyword tracker from Helium 10. So you can enter any of the keywords that you target with your product and it will track the organic ranks. So you can see how your product's performing on Amazon as you start to make sales, as your organic ranks start to improve. So this was for my car boot liner. So I've told you guys about this before. This is the very first product I ever launched. And I'm going to come back to this in a moment and show you some more stats. But what this screenshot shows, this is for the very first year. So I sold this product for 3 or 4 years. So this talks you through what happened in the first year. So this first dot here was back in September 2018, I believe. So you can see here, it took a couple of weeks for this particular keyword to get ranked well on the first page. And things were going really well. And then look, this big gap here, big gap. And then I think this gap here, well, I say big gap, it's about 2 weeks and a drop off in ranks. Then the same again, a few months later, big gap and a bigger drop off in ranks. And you can see it took a lot longer here to recover those ranks. And again up here, not a huge gap here, but this one really hit ranks hard. So this is a super important lesson for anyone that's looking to launch a product. Pay-per-click on Amazon is getting more and more expensive by the day. I mean, if I think back to how much I used to pay-per-click in 2018 versus what I'm paying now, and obviously it varies a lot between different niches, but the costs have gone up massively because there's so much more competition and everyone is wise to the fact you pretty much have to run PPC almost all the time now for the majority of products. It used to be the case that you could launch a product, get it ranked, and then switch off PPC. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible to do. It's still possible in certain niches and with certain products, but very often now you have to run PPC all the time. But if you have to relaunch a product, like in these instances, you have to spend an awful lot on PPC. So your initial launch is going to cost you a fortune, and these relaunches are going to cost you a hefty chunk of your potential profit. So this is why I've ordered 2,100 units of this very rattly product. The reason I've done this is I am trying to avoid this scenario here. I am going into a niche which is the most competitive that I've ever taken on. And I know it's going to cost me a lot of money in PPC, more actually than I'm spending on the inventory itself. That's how much I'm going to have to spend on PPC to get this product ranked, or hopefully get it ranked. And the last thing I want to do is spend all of that money to get the product ranked just to go out of stock at the wrong time, then have to do it all over again. So this video is about offering some more background on this, giving you guys some advice what to plan for and how much stock to invest in. So I think when I ordered my boot liners, I ordered 500 units. And if I'd have ordered maybe 600 or 700, this wouldn't have happened. And again here, if I'd ordered enough, this wouldn't have happened. This gap here actually would have been even bigger because this first shipment come in by boat. And I remember my second ever shipment, because I was trying to prevent this, I paid to fly in. That was before things had gone crazy in the shipping world. But I think it still cost me around about £2 per unit. So I was paying a huge premium to ship these, to fly these products in. But it did prevent me going out of stock too long. And I actually had a pretty good Q4 because of that. I was in stock for December and January. So it's actually worth paying that extra. But you guys want to avoid going out of stock if you can, especially if you're going into a high volume niche. And if you're going into a niche where you're maybe only selling 100 to 200 units per month, this is less important as the relaunch is going to cost you less money. But if you're going into a niche where there's 500 units being sold per month or 1,000 units being sold per month, it's going to cost you an awful lot to get those ranks back. So let's take a look at the bootliner niche to give you some ideas of what I would do now if I were to launch this product again. So I'd come into the niche, I'd find the best performing or the highest volume, most relevant keyword. I'd run X-ray and then I'd see what the sales were for these products. Now what I'm looking for here is a landing zone on the first page. I'm looking for probably around about 5, preferably more, but around about 5 sellers doing similar figures all on the first page. I'm not too worried about the outliers. So for example here, these first 2 organic sellers, actually let me just clear this up. Let's get rid of the sponsored results so it doesn't confuse anyone. The first two organic sellers are selling 1,000 units per month and 1,300 units per month. Then we've got one at 700 and one at 600. But I wouldn't come to this niche and use these as the guide. This is not my landing zone. My landing zone in this particular niche would be where the majority of sellers are. And from looking at this, the majority are 266, 202, 266, 211, 158, 192, a couple in the 300s as well. So I would say my landing zone is somewhere between 200, 2 to 300 maybe. So if I was coming to this niche now, providing I've done all the other checks to make sure that what the sales I'm seeing now are reflective of what I'd expect in a few months, we're not going through a seasonal either high or low at the moment, I would then try to figure out how much stock do I actually need for my first order? How much am I going to order to prevent going out of stock? So the first thing we need to do is find out the lead time from the manufacturer. So lead times are quite long at the moment. So you might place an order, but your manufacturer might actually be able to make the order for maybe 30 days, 45 days, 60 days, and in some cases even longer. So you need to have an honest discussion with your supplier about lead times. You then need to look at your shipping method. If you're shipping by boat, you're looking between 4 to 6 weeks. You've got 4 weeks minimum in the sea going from China to the UK ports, and then probably 1 to 2 weeks either side. So between 4 to 6 weeks, but probably realistically closer to 6 weeks for sea shipping. Whereas if you're using air freight, you're probably looking around about 2 weeks from start to finish. So you need to add those all up and then basically order about 10 to 20% above that. So if your lead time is 2 months overall, you want to be ordering around about 2.5 months worth of stock. If you've got 3 months worth of lead time, then you'll be ordering just over 3 months, maybe 3.5, maybe a bit longer. Now, I know that sounds like a big commitment, especially for your first product. And that's why I'd always recommend to anyone with your first product, don't go too competitive. Don't go after these niches where people are selling 500 units per month or 1,000 units per month, unless they've got a super low unit cost. And obviously you're spending less on inventory, but you're going to still be spending a lot on PPC to achieve those sales figures. So maybe if you don't have a huge budget, and maybe if you've got less than £5,000, maybe your first product, only look for a product that's selling maybe 100 to 300 units per month, as it will make this all a bit more manageable. So this niche, in the car bootliner niche, I would be going for probably 600 to 700 units, depending on what the manufacturer's lead times were at that time. Another niche we can look at is the RFID key pouch, which is for your keyless cars to prevent the signal from being cloned. And this is a product that I did sell for a little while. And if we run X around this, demand has actually dropped off an awful lot since I used to sell this product. And if we go to the search volume history, let's put this on all time, we can see that this is in a steady decline. Now, maybe that's because we're not seeing these spikes here. Always when we saw an article, maybe on the BBC or in the newspaper, saying how easily that keyless cars are getting stolen. Maybe everyone's bored of hearing that news now, so we don't really see those big spikes. But either way, demand has dropped off an awful lot. And I think when I come into this niche, the average was like 500 plus sales per month. Whereas at the moment, I mean, your landing zone, let's just get rid of the sponsored results one more time to clear this right up. Your landing zone, you've got these two big outliers here, which are soaking up the sales, which actually looks what's happened in this niche. It looks like there's two people dominating and are soaking up the sales, which is normally the sort of niches you want to avoid because there's so much demand being soaked up by those top couple of listings. But you could make the case that your landing zone is probably between 50 and 100, because you've 1, 2, 3, 4 there. Or if you go a bit further down, you've got some kind of between 100 and 200. So I would say your landing zone would be about 150 per month. So if you were looking for this for 3 months worth of stock, that'd be 450. Maybe you'd order 500 units to give this niche a chance, with the understanding if things go well, you can potentially go higher. You can always go up if things do go well. Just one more example here is the pill organizers, which I've talked about on the channel before. Now I'm just doing the general pill organizer search, but if you were selling a particular type, like a weekly or a monthly, do the analysis on that instead. But if you were just launching a pill organizer, you can see there is a lot more demand in here. Again, let's clean out those sponsored results to make it clearer for you guys. So you've got one up there at 5,100 and one at 1,500, but your landing zone on here, I think, is one at just under 1,200, 1,200, 1,100, 1,000, 900. I'd say between 1,000 and 1,200 units per month. So you take that and you multiply it by however long you think you need before you can actually reorder your next stock. So how much is your lead time plus your shipping time, and then a little bit on top to make sure you don't go out of stock. And just a final crazy one here We've got hangers. So I'd have never styled hangers, but I always like to look at this niche because the demand is still so crazy. It just doesn't ever seem to go down. Like some of these people, 8,000, 2,000, 2,000, 5,000. So your landing zone on this niche, we got one at 2, 2 at 2,000, 2,500. I think you're looking between 2 to 3,000. So for 3 months worth, you're probably ordering about 10,000 units. So if you really want to take on a high value niche and you've got a huge budget and know what you're doing, go after this niche. But if you're a new seller, steer well clear of this niche. Now, just before I show you the Rattly box, if you are interested in using X-Ray from Helium 10 and the keyword tracker and all of the other tools that Helium 10 supports, you can use the usual discount code. So use FBA Elite 50 to get 50% off your first month if you want to give it a try. If you want to use it long term, use FBA Elite 10 and that will give you 10% off every month. Or you can use either code combined with an annual pricing and that will save you 25% for the year. So it's definitely the cheapest way if you're using it long term. So let's go to this shaky box. So if you had watched my video from this one here, it's decision time, when I showed you these white boxes. I actually had COVID at the time, so that's why I look super pasty in that video. I was feeling pretty rough, but I showed you this product here. So I've ordered 2,100 units of this product. There's actually 2 products inside this case. There's actually 4,200 units. And the reason I've ordered that many is my target zone for this product is around about 700 units per month. Now, this is a product I can actually fly in. So my total lead time, I think manufacturing is about 4 weeks. Air freight is around 2 weeks, so 6 weeks, but I'm basically planning for 8 weeks. And if things go well, that will probably use up about 1,500 units. So why am I ordering an extra 600? Well, I really want to avoid going out of stock in this niche. I'm actually feeling very confident that I've got a good product that is going to stand out and do well. Now, that might come back to bite me. So I'd rather take the risk. This isn't an overly expensive product. So I'd rather be inventory heavy on that product and avoid going out of stock if I'm going to spend a huge amount of money, because the product is fairly cheap, but PPC is going to be very expensive. So I want to avoid going out of stock, and by ordering just over 2,000 units, it's going to give me a good month or so buffer if things do go well, to ensure that I can get the next batch of inventory in time before that lot runs out and I won't have to pay to relaunch the product. So that's what I want you guys to take away from this video. Before you commit to any product, figure out what your lead time is, your total lead time manufacturing plus shipping. Figure out how much inventory you need to get ranked on that page and avoid going out of stock before that second batch of inventory arrives. So hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you scroll down and hit that like button. If you want to see more from me, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to talk to me and over 4,000 other sellers, head to fbaelite.com, sign up. It's completely free, and I'll see you guys on the forums.